You're gonna keep that on?
We're on. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 8th, 2020 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board. To my right is our Vice President, Gary Merrill, and our County Commissioner, or County Administrator, Mike Fromer. My left is, Jennifer's waving. That must mean you're the clerk today. To my left is our fellow Commissioner, Barb Lewis, and our clerk today is Jennifer Walraven. So let's start.
Resolution number 20-483, in the matter of approving electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held June 4th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-483. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-484, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0605.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-484. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-485, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So move.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-485. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-486, in the matter of accepting the proposal and approving a merchant agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, the Delaware County Treasurer, and All Paid Incorporated, doing business as Government Pay for processing of financial transaction devices for Delaware County.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
County Treasurer Mike Ringel, thank you for having me here this morning, Commissioners, to talk about this contract. The resolution was quite a mouthful, so I apologize for that. The revised code provides that the Treasurer's Office can serve as agent for the receipt of proposals for financial transaction devices for the county. My predecessor, working alongside the Prosecutor's Office, had received 2 proposals that my office has since evaluated, and we recommend the approval of the all-paid vendor for payment processing for the county. Doing a little bit of estimated math and looking at the fee structure that will be in place if all paid is used compared to the county's current payment processor. It's estimated that if all of the offices that currently use the current vendor Point and Pay were to eventually switch to all paid, that it would save end users, so residents of the county, approximately $30,000 annually in fees.
Okay.
Any questions related to the contract or the process?
Yeah, if you could just kind of explain what payments this would apply to, so anybody who's listening or so on would understand exactly what.
Absolutely.
Because I obviously it's the property tax payments, but there's a lot more too.
For my office, it would be property tax payments, but really this is about electronic payment types. So this vendor is capable of processing credit card transactions, debit card transactions, electronic check transactions. Those are the 3 main categories. The vendor would also be providing card readers to all of the offices who would be interested in using this vendor, as well as personalized or individualized gateways, website portals for the respective offices that will be collecting electronic fees using this vendor. So as I said, for my office, that would be property tax payments, but as another example, the auditor's office collects dog tag fees electronically currently, and they would be able to use this vendor to do that as well.
So basically, they're charging a lesser fee than the current vendor, resulting in a savings to the residents of our county.
Yes, the current vendor charges a 2.5% fee for certain credit and debit transactions and a $2.50 e-check fee. The proposal before you would have a 2% fee related with all credit and debit transactions and then a $1 e-check fee.
And this is is it up to each office then, whether they participate in this particular contract agreement?
Yes.
Or whether they do something on their own?
That's correct.
That would be each of the courts and the sheriff and the sewer and so on that collects payments.
The revised code provides that proposals for vendors who want to be financial transaction device processors for the county submit a proposal through county treasurer, and that those proposals are reviewed, and then a recommendation is issued to the county commissioners. The historical tact with approving financial transaction devices was to approve any vendor who applied to the county to give as much flexibility to county office holders to choose the vendor they wanted to work with. My office is only recommending the approval of one contract due to, of the two that were received, because of the more favorable fee structure. I did not believe it made sense in this instance to have multiple vendors available for county use when one was uncompetitive. But there are other payment processors, financial transaction device vendors currently in use with different offices in the county. The auditor's office, for example, uses a company by the name of Official Payments. That was the vendor that the treasurer's office used to use for the collection of property tax payments before we switched over to Point and Pay. I think there are probably 6 to 7 offices that use Point and Pay in conjunction with the treasurer's office, but I also know that the court system uses a separate payment processor, and I've had previous discussions with Clerk Fravel. They're looking to change some of their software, and their internal software that they'd be changing to would potentially require another payment processor. So we would accept an application from them when they decided which payment processor they would want to move forward with, if they wanted to use a different vendor other than Allpaid.
Just an observation, if we all use the same vendor, I'm going to make a wild assumption that perhaps there would be an even better rate opportunity available to us. I think sometimes because we use so many different vendors, we really end up as a disservice to the taxpayers in the county because we don't have the volume that might get us a better rate. And I assume you're going to be reaching out to the others, make them aware of this, and that if that were to happen, we'd be able to maybe relook at that rate.
Yes. In fact, part of the negotiation with this contract was looking at all of the different offices and their transaction volume, and through that process, originally the contract provided for a 2.5% rate for civil fee collection, which is more in line with the transactions handled by the clerk's office. We were able to negotiate that down to 2% with the anticipation or the interest in eventually transitioning that office to this payment processor as well. But I've had conversations with Clerk Fravel about her being able to use whatever vendor she so chooses. But I do believe that there are economies of scale, and that having more transactions, I think it makes it more beneficial for the vendor to give lower rates because they are making up for that profit-wise due to the higher transaction volumes. The current plan, should the commissioners approve this contract, is for my office to start implementation with this vendor, and then to see how that implementation progresses, and then to contact the other county offices that are using Point and Pay in particular to let them know that my office is implementing the new software and how that implementation is going. I'm very conscious of the fact that we have a current vendor in place, and I would not want there to be any gap in service related to payment processing should our current vendor become disgruntled that we are potentially transitioning away from them.
Good. Applaud the initiative and leadership to get this going, as Commissioner Merrill and I have discussed numerous times in the past. This is an example of the potential power of countywide buying and leveraging that activity to get better rates for our residents. So again, good leadership on this, and good to see this moving forward. This is a one-year contract, and I saw with one-year renewals.
Yes.
So, So we
Yeah,
got,
good idea, too, to wait until you see how the
yeah, make sure
implementation
things are
goes.
going well.
Just to make sure.
Can be challenges sometimes. All right, we'll take a vote.
Thank you.
Vote on motion 20-486, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
That brings us to page 192.
Thank you.
Resolution number 20-487, in the matter of approving the sanitary sewer improvement plans for River Bluff Phases 2 and 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fromer, County Administrator, substituting for Tiffany Mag this morning. The first project, the River Bluff Phases 2 and 3, is an EBCON development on Clarkshaw Road, and it's part of the Lower Side Community Authority. This area will be served by a temporary pump station that will be taken offline. There's a neighboring property that is not part of this development, but it's tributary to this development. So we're recommending your approval.
Okay, vote.
Vote on motion 20-487. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-488, in the matter of declaring personal property obsolete, unfit, or not needed for public use, and the intent of selling such property via internet auction or disposal of property of no value.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioner. The items here to be disposed have been taken out of service a long time ago. I was explaining to Commissioner Benton at wastewater plants, you essentially have 5 to 6 garages, and when something doesn't work and you buy something new, you just put it in a garage, and then you decide you need some garage space in about 10 years, and then realize you need to get rid of the junk.
It's the same thing we do in our personal garage.
Yeah, so,
that's
but imagine
right.
if you had
Yeah,
5 or 6 of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
what I thought,
so these all these items, like the generator batteries, it would cost us to dispose of them, so to put them on and see if we can sell them to mitigate some costs. So, but all these items, the lateral camera, my favorite, still uses VHS, big cassette tapes. So anyway, so
That's been out of, the VHS has been out of use for
for a while,
over a decade, I'm sure.
yeah. So anyway, but recommending your approval.
All right, vote, please.
Vote on motion 20-488. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-489, in the matter of certifying to the county auditor sanitary sewer capacity charges for 6900 Big Walnut Road, Galena, Ohio, 43021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Commissioners, this property was on a septic tank, and the area has developed around it in Genoa Township, and this person has looked through some of our work to take their septic tank offline and connect. So they're going to be paying their capacity fee through putting it on their taxes for collection. So recommending your approval.
All right, good to see another customer coming online. We'll take a vote.
Vote on motion 20-489. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Administrator report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fromer, County Administrator. Just a couple quick updates. We are resuming the Pre-Hospital Care Board meeting this week via Zoom. We pretty much have taken a couple-month hiatus as those groups were extremely busy and focused on COVID-19, and there's been chief meetings, so those organizations have been coordinating on response, but we're going to be resuming that this week. Also, last week, Eric, Dawn, and I had a conference call with the judges to bring back the public defender conversation, and they're going to be taking the next couple weeks to provide us some feedback, how things have maybe changed with the way they're looking at doing things, and just give some overall feedback. And lastly, with COVID-19, there were changes on the BMV and how they would do the driver maneuverability testing. Before, the instructor would be in the car with the student. Well, now the instructor is outside of the car for the distancing, and they needed more space at Willis to conduct that, so they weren't doing maneuverability training before, and now they're resuming that activity. So just thought that would be something of note. You'd be interested that, we worked through with them on it, but it's changing.
When you say maneuverability, you mean the cone setup?
Yeah, the
That-
cones.
They're still getting in the car driving with them before they get their license or not?
I'm not sure I assume that they are doing that, but it's interesting.
I thought what you were getting ready to say, they were following with another car, taking their test.
Oh, no.
It might be safer for the instructor.
I know, that's just what I was thinking, too.
But that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Romero.
Really don't have much today. We have Dkm Board Meeting tomorrow, which will be done virtually. And kind of along the same line, course of meeting, we're meeting this Friday, which I could have mentioned this Thursday, but we're actually meeting in person. We have less than 10 members on our board, and
Yeah.
the staff will be there virtually, but so maybe things are starting to get back to a little sense of normalcy, and
Yes.
actually, I'm looking forward to that, so. And there's a lot of things going on, a lot of meetings we're all involved in, but that's all I have for today.
Okay, Commissioner Lewis.
I have families and children first, Zoom meeting Wednesday morning, and that's it.
And DKM tomorrow.
DKM tomorrow.
Oh, yes, DKKM? DKMMM.
Too many
Yeah,
acronyms.
thank you. Yeah.
Just, let's see, just two other things. The Septic Board meeting we held Friday, and got our first look at renewals, and they didn't look very good. And then what's interesting is claims were down about by a third in the month of April, and expected to be down significantly in the month of May as well. So again, a lot of big dollar changes going on, and where we go, we'll move forward, or we'll figure that out in the coming months. Then Senate Bill 310 was passed in the House last Thursday, I think it was, and the House threw in an amendment to the Senate bill, because Senate Bill 310 is basically passing through course of funds for the counties that get reimbursed for their spending on COVID-19. And the House put in an amendment at the last minute that makes it, makes TIDs, Transportation Improvement Districts, have to pay prevailing wage. And that has obviously nothing to do with COVID, but it's a political issue that the House wanted to advance. So we're trying to gather resources to challenge that and eliminate that from the bill, because that would cause serious harm to our TID, not being able to have that flexibility. So anyway, that's it for that, and we do have need for executive session.
We do. This morning, we have 2 items, and this afternoon, we'll have a different item. Resolution number 20-490, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of purchase of property for public purpose and consider the sale of property at competitive bidding.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-490. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye. All right, we are now in executive session. Jennifer?
Resolution number 20-491, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So moved. Second.
Discussion,
Have your choice.
Flip a coin.
discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-491. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
And then we are recessed until 1:45. Is that-
1:30 or 1:45?
1:30?
The first interview was at 1:50.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I was able to move it back, so it didn't have a gap.
Do we need to meet at 1:30, though?
Do we have anything to cover before?
Just to look at, yeah, I guess.
It's probably better to do that afterward.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
1:45.
1:45.
1:45.
Okay, so we're now in recess until 1:45 this afternoon for our interviews. Okay?